As protests erupt at state capitals across the nation, President Donald Trump works to tee up more orders to trim the fat on a rapidly shrinking federal government. Meanwhile, one unofficial leader is taking a lot of heat from the American people.
Our clouds to sunshine pattern continues, but we've made some big changes to the weekend forecast. You'll want to see that in First Warning Weather.
But first, demonstrators are marching in state capitals across the country to protest the early actions of the second Trump administration. The demonstrations are part of a movement, 50 protests, 50 states, one day. Now here in Austin, demonstrators gathered outside the Texas state capitol, later moving toward 6th Street this afternoon. The demonstrators here are calling out Project 2025 and President Trump's executive orders.
I've been moping for about 2 months now, and I decided it's time to get out from under the rock and come back out and take our country back. And I believe in our Constitution. I believe in the rule of law. I believe in the separation of power. I believe that we don't want to live in an oligarchy. So I'm back here to take democracy back.
I was taught as a child that speaking out against what you believe is right and wrong is extremely important. And right now, what I'm seeing from our government, the lack of our government and the overreach of our government, it's a time to start making our voices heard and to make sure they know we're not going down without a fight.
And many protesters are demonstrating against tech billionaire Elon Musk, specifically for his involvement with the administration. Musk, leader of the Department of Government Efficiency, has directed the group to access the secure systems of federal agencies and push to dissolve the U.S. Agency for International Development. And tensions are starting to boil over in Washington amid a continued blitz of layoffs, buyouts, and DEI crackdowns.
Raquel Martin was at today's rally supporting USAID workers. She has the latest.
We need to end this illegal power grab.
Democrats say they're preparing to go to battle in court and in Congress to put a stop to President Donald Trump and Elon Musk's takedown of federal agencies.
It's not about left or right. It's about right and wrong.
Hundreds rallied outside the Capitol to protest a sudden freeze at USAID. The federal agency supplies medical aid, food, and more to developing countries across the globe.
These are human lives.
People here say they're not just frustrated by the Trump administration's actions, they're angry. But Republicans insist the president has not violated the law.
We don't see this as a threat to Article 1 at all. We see this as an active, engaged, committed executive branch authority.
While in Guatemala, Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters the Trump administration is simply making tweaks to ensure programs like U.S. aid are in line with U.S. national interests.
And those that do not will not continue.
The White House insists Musk's targeting of federal agencies is about cutting waste and does not signal any conflicts of interest. Musk currently has billions of dollars in federal contracts.
And he has, again, abided by all applicable laws.
The CIA is the latest agency to receive buyout offers from the Trump administration.
As a former CIA officer, I'm getting a lot of outreach.
Michigan Democratic Senator Alyssa Slotkin says she supports cutting waste, but not at the expense of national security.
I can't support that kind of hacksaw approach.
In Washington, Raquel Martin.
And 16 agents are suing the FBI and the Department of Justice. They're demanding the DOJ end its plans to compile a list of agents who investigated January 6th and the Trump classified documents case. The FBI turned over information on thousands of agents at the request of the Justice Department. The Bureau did not provide agent names, but gave their ID numbers, their role in the investigation, and the date of their last activity on the case. Now, this litigation comes after the Trump administration fired several prosecutors involved in the January 6 criminal cases. These FBI agents fear similar retaliation and feel their reputations have been harmed by the implication that their work on these cases was politically motivated.
A short time ago, President Donald Trump signed an executive order banning transgender women from women's sports. The measure is called the No Men in Women's Sports Executive Order, and it's the fourth one targeting the transgender transgender community since the president took office on January 20th. White House officials say the order aims to, quote, protect women's access to safe and fair athletic opportunities, and they aim to do so by rolling back the Biden administration's Title IX guidance, which required schools to allow trans students access to school sports teams. The administration will also work with sports governing bodies to make sure the order is followed in settings outside of schools.
Governor Greg Abbott was in Washington today, and he met with President Trump to talk about border security. Now, this after years of the Lone Star State using its own resources to militarize the border and curb illegal crossings. Texas has spent more than $11 billion on Operation Lone Star.
Texas built 2 military bases that can house 2,000 soldiers in one base, 400 soldiers in another base. I made sure the president know that was available to him. I let the president know that we have identified 4,000 jail cells in the state of Texas that can be used as detention facilities. So we're just continuing to find ways we can assist the Trump administration in finally securing our border.
And for more details on what the governor and the president talked about, head on over to KXAN.com and click on this story.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
It sure took a while today, but the sun eventually came out for most areas, allowing for a late day temperature boost, although there's still some clouds out there, as you can see off in the distance from the Covert Bee Cave Auto Mall camera in Bee Cave, with a lot of blue sky overhead. Those thicker clouds are largely confined to the hill country, but we do have some spotty light showers entering parts of Fayette County, not amounting to much, but you may feel a few drops, just like we had a patch or two of drizzle earlier on. Most of us are into the 70s, some upper 70s and low 80s in our eastern counties where they've had more sun, and these temperatures are a little bit cooler than this time yesterday thanks to the longer lasting cloud cover here today. It's still going to make for a warm and reasonably pleasant evening. Partly cloudy at 7, 74, 72 by 9, still 70 at 11 o'clock tonight, although the low clouds will start to build back in. And that leads us to our cloud and sun combination of clouds in the morning, sun in the afternoon. This pattern continuing, but some big changes to the forecast for the weekend that you'll want to stick around for, although we're still on track for rain next week.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. Liberty Hill ISD could vote later this month whether to transition to a 4-day week next school year. The district's chief of schools says it would give teachers and staff more time to plan and collaborate. And he added that teachers will take on more responsibility due to upcoming budget cuts. Now, Liberty Hill is considering 2 options, either Mondays off or Fridays off, and says it will look into the possibility of providing childcare for parents on that extra day off. Now, some districts in Central Texas have already implemented a 4-day week, including Rockdale and Lomita. We have this interactive map of the districts who have made the switch over on KXAN.com. And going in depth, Liberty Hill's chief of schools also says that a 4-day week is a great recruitment tool for teachers. And he says it's also been found to increase student attendance and engagement. He says that many parents who were concerned about the change in the past have gotten on board.
Kickoff between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles is just on the horizon, and for many football fans, the big game could make or break their bank accounts.
As time marches on, you may be getting used to seeing driverless vehicles on the road, and experts say you could expect to see more as the years go on. The reason Austin is poised to lead the future of autonomous driving.
And the hustle and bustle of the airport is sure to work up an appetite. And last year, passengers certainly stocked up on Capital City Eats, the staggering number of tacos, barbecue, and beers the Austin airport sold in 2024. With an Uber and Waymo rideshare service nearing its launch in Austin, an economic development expert says the Texas capital is poised to become the hub for driverless technology. Uber and Waymo announced their partnership back in September, with co-branded vehicles set to roll out in Austin later this year. Now, those interested can join the interest list right now in the Uber app. And Waymo is one of a handful of AV companies operating in Austin. Experts said Austin's existing tech scene and research institutions are fueling AV company growth.
This rollout of the Waymo-Uber partnership really signifies how mainstream autonomous vehicles are to our economy and to transportation.
A new report from research analysts Allied Market Research estimates the AV industry will be worth nearly $1 billion in 2040. And digital reporter Kelsey Thompson has more on the Uber and Waymo partnership and industry growth projections over at KXAN.com. Going in depth right now, Tesla is promising to have its driverless cars on Austin roads soon. Last month, CEO Elon Musk confirmed Tesla is planning on launching a self-driving paid service in June.
We told you last year nearly 22 million passengers passed through the Austin airport. Well, they enjoyed plenty of tacos, pints of beer, and live music performances. The airport shared its year-end sales wrap, and the data shows that AUS sold 1.1 million tacos throughout 2024. More than 169,000 pounds of brisket were served up at Salt Lick Barbecue. More than 71,000 beers were poured at the Beer Drop, and nearly 8,000 Keep Austin Weird t-shirts were sold. Also, throughout all of last year, more than 200 artists held more than 1,300 live performances at our airport.
With tomorrow marking 1 year to go until the 2026 Winter Olympics, Italian ski resorts are getting ready to co-host the event, marking the return of the Games to a traditional European venue for the first time in 2 decades. Cortina and Milan, Italy's largest northern cities located about 250 miles apart, will serve as the primary hosts of the 2026 Games, with 5 additional venues across northern Italy featured before the ceremony, the closing ceremony in Verona.
We avoided the 80s here today, but still a much warmer than average day with a high of 75. That's 10 degrees above where we should be. Should get back to the 80s tomorrow and into the weekend. We'll show you the big changes to the weekend forecast and an update on the rain chances for next week in First Warning Weather.
Just 4 days until Super Bowl 59, the Chiefs versus the Eagles in what should be a very competitive game.
And this year, more fans than ever will have a vested interest in the outcome. Chris Hagan joining us now from New Orleans with that story. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Jennifer and Daniel, and by vested interest, we mean financial, moolah, greenbacks, big dough. Of course, that used to be taboo to talk about that kind of thing anywhere, especially on TV, but now it's embraced. 39 states, including D.C., they have legalized sports gambling, and the pro leagues have embraced it full force. You watch games during the season, they have live odds updates on the screen. They make special offers, trying to keep the viewers engaged. In fact, the American Gaming Association tells me they expect $1.4 billion in legalized bets to be made this weekend. The Super Bowl, no doubt, by far the biggest gambling event of the year.
The NFL doesn't move the needle. The NFL is the needle. And yeah, post-legalization and, you know, how fast and dramatically it's expanded across the country. Yeah, you're seeing leagues, you're seeing media companies, a lot more partnerships. And it's a good thing because Americans, we've been betting on sports as long as there's been sports to bet on. And this is what I say to folks, like, just because there's a more variety of bets, it doesn't increase your chances of winning. Like, know the odds, understand what you're betting on.
Yeah, be smart. Moderation is key. And for those who need some help, the AGA and NFL, they have support groups. They have hotlines 24 hours a day if you need it. As far as Sunday, they're telling me the hot bets to make. Take the Eagles money line. That means they'll win outright. You don't need the point spread. And Saquon Barkley over 111 yards rushing. It's been tough to do against the Chiefs, but they say Barkley will get the job done. You heard it here first. Hey, we're reporting live from the Superdome in New Orleans. I'm Chris Hagan.
Chris, thank you very much. And going in depth right now, states currently regulate sports betting, but one piece of legislation in Congress would create a national standard. In December, former NFL player Johnson Badamosi told senators that betting is adding pressure to players in and out of the game.
Introduced more stress, new mental health challenges, and has increased the number of threats and incidents of harassment.
Some lawmakers want to ban bets on individual athletes' performance and also ban sports betting companies from advertising during live sporting events.
Okay, I'm looking at that beautiful picture in our monitor now. Yeah. Beautiful blue sky. It's warm outside. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous. Yeah, and I'd keep betting on 80s for the next few days, and especially Saturday. Saturday looks to be a record-breaking warm day before some cooler changes start to work in. Let's take it outside to our Austonian weather camera. with sunshine after a lot of the day was gray, and you probably felt some of the drizzle move through as well. We're back to bright now, but the low clouds will once again push in as we head into the night tonight. Remember that cold front we showed you that was just north of our area yesterday? Well, it is now lifted north as a warm front, allowing for much more of Texas to be well into the 70s and 80s. You can see Oklahoma City at 50, Dallas at 73, and Abilene at 81. And then we're at 76 because of the extra cloud cover today that took a while to lift away, kept our temperatures down a little bit, but still warmer than normal, remember. As we zoom on in, a few spotty sprinkles still affecting portions of Fayette County. Nothing significant there. And then the thicker cloud cover has not yet burned off in parts of the hill country, and we're running out of time because sunset just after 6 o'clock, and then the moisture will start to rush back in overnight. This is going to give us another gray beginning to our day in most places tomorrow, and a chance for some spotty drizzle too. Then we go into the afternoon and then the sun comes out. In fact, I think the sun comes out a little earlier tomorrow than what we had today, which should allow temperatures to be warmer tomorrow than today. Then a lot of cloud cover to begin your Friday, and then some patches of drizzle too. And then into the afternoon, the sun comes out. And as we fast forward into Friday night and Saturday, we'll start Saturday rather cloudy again, but these clouds should lift relatively quickly and a much warmer afternoon on the way. So temperatures will gradually climb more and more each of the next few afternoons. So tonight, increasing clouds, some late night drizzle down to 64. And then you can see where we're up to tomorrow, 80. So a few degrees warmer tomorrow than today. Afternoon sun, but the clouds will be rather stubborn in the morning. Friday starts with clouds, ends with sun. We're up to 83. There's 88 Saturday. That would beat the previous record high for the day of 87 in Austin. Then our cold front still on track to come in late Saturday into early Sunday. Here's what's changed over the last 24 hours. While the front still comes in, it is not going to be bringing nearly as much cold air, at least at first. So we have bumped up in a big way. High temperatures now for Sunday. Yesterday, it was looking like mid-60s. Today, it's looking like upper 70s. That is a big temperature swing over the last 24 hours. I want to make sure you've noticed that. And just in case you were thinking Sunday's still going to be cool. We've got wet weather moving in on Monday, especially wet and stormy on Tuesday. And then there could be some additional showers and storms on Wednesday. Here's a look at our first warning weather 7-day forecast. So 3 more days of very warm temperatures well into the 80s, although Sunday will still be much warmer than normal. Then we're back down to normal on Monday. Then another cold front comes in to reinforce the cooler air, knocking us further down to 60 on Tuesday and only 50s on Wednesday, with those rain chances especially focused on Monday through Wednesday. We'll be right back.
Tonight on Balance, country music star John Rich joins Leland Live to talk about his Bank for Patriots and why the White House's critiques of Wall Street made now the right time for the new venture. Tonight at 7/6 Central.
O'Reilly, Cuomo, live tomorrow at 8/7 Central.
Tonight, we're covering the personal impact on federal workers as they watch the dismantling of the U.S. government and the study underway into whether those popular weight loss drugs can effectively treat addiction when we see you tonight on NBC Nightly News.
Researchers have solved the mystery of sea turtles' lost years. That's a time when they leave beaches as hatchlings until they return as adults. A group of researchers attached GPS tags to the fast-growing shells of 131 young turtles as they enter the Gulf. Scientists once assumed the tiny turtles move passively with ocean currents, literally going with the flow. But the data that they collected shed some more light on those mysterious missing years.
Some of those little turtles did swim into coastal habitats and coastal, like close-ish to shore, but they would turn around and leave. So these little animals are actively maneuvering and actively changing their direction. They're potentially avoiding shore.
And the tracking data also showed more variability in their location than scientists actually expected as the little turtles move between continental shelf waters and open ocean.
Coming up tonight on KXAN, it's Chicago night. We've got Chicago Med at 7, Chicago Fire at 8, PD at 9 o'clock. Before we're back with KXAN News at 10.
And you can join us an hour earlier for KXAN News at 9 o'clock on CW Austin. Here's where to find us.